Hello everybody and welcome to this explanation on the Toeic preparation course. Today we are going to be dealing with modals and conditionals. From modals or modal verbs, we can say that basically modals are the verbs can, could, should, may, might, will, must, would. There are other modals, but these ones are the ones most commonly tested on the Toeic test. And the rule for us to remember is that with modals we need a verb in its simple form, meaning a verb which does not end in s, does not end in ed, and does not end in ing. For conditionals, you may remember that there are three types of conditionals. We don't need to know the use of the modals or the use of the conditionals for the Toeic test. For instance, we don't need to remember that there are modals for expressing ability, certainty, advice, and all of those contexts. Those are not necessary to be understood for the Toeic test. For conditionals, it happens the same. We don't need to know the kind of conditional. You know, there is a zero conditional, a type 1 conditional, a type 2 conditional. We don't need to know the use. And now we're going to understand the conditionals. Here we have a first type of conditional. And what we need to understand the day of the exam is that they are going to give me the first part of the sentence. And the second part will be in the answer choices. So if I have the words if or when plus the first part of the sentence before the comma being in simple present, I can either have simple present or simple future. And here are the examples. Here. If or when you mix yellow and blue paint, you get green. In that case, we're talking about a verb in its simple present form. The second one is if. You don't use when anymore, you use if. The first part is in simple present. If I finish this job tonight, comma, there's always going to be a comma for conditionals if they keep this order. Then we usually need the words will or might, mostly will, to say if I finish this job tonight, I will go to the theater with Frank. The other conditional form we need to pay attention to is this one. If the first part of the sentence is in past simple or continuous, most commonly simple, the second part, the part after the comma, needs a modal verb. Would, could, might, all the modal verbs I talked about previously can be included. For example, if he knew that is simple past, he would tell you that is the modal verb. And if I were is the simple past, I would is the modal. Basically, that's what you need to know. I want you to know the structure. I want you to remember this part. And here finally, if the verb is in past perfect, mostly past perfect, the second part of the clause or sentence is going to contain would, could, or might, which is a modal, and is going to be, and that modal is going to be followed by the verb to have and the past participle of another verb. For instance, if she hath told me, that is the past perfect. And then we have a comma. And then we have would have helped. Would is the modal. Have is the verb to have, as we said it. And helped is a verb in past participle. Knowing this, we can start answering the exercises, which are here. So, the first one is, the supervisor would not even. Would is a modal verb, so I need a verb in its simple form. This is in S, this is in future, this is in past. That's why our option is D. The supervisor would not even consider our proposal. And we have this one. All construction workers must. Must is a modal verb. So we need a verb in its simple form. And that is wear. Wore is the same verb, and it is the verb in its simple form. It is an irregular verb, so it is not an option. Wears is the third person. To wear is the infinitive form, and we do not use infinitive forms with modals. Then we have here this one. In this sentence, there is a comma. Would is a modal. Have and a verb in past participle. According to the rule I just explained, here we need past perfect. And the past perfect form is option A. If we had known the truth, we would have found some better solutions. And then number 4. Please contact our service representative if you have any questions. This is a simple conditional form type 1. And we have here problems space emerge during the beginning stage of production. If I say problems were emerged, that would be the passive voice. That means the problems received the action. What I want to say here is that problems have emerged. I'm going to use the active voice in this sentence. Then, although oil prices have recently increased, the cost of raw materials is the verb to have, so I need another verb in its past participle form. This is an irregular verb, and its past participle form is risen. Rise, rose, risen. You may remember from the previous lessons you have taken. We were able to. This belongs to the topic of infinitives and gerunds. So, we need to say, we were able to hire an experienced graphic designer. And then we try next. For this exercise, we have here permitted. Permitted belongs to the topic of gerunds and infinitives. And with permitted, we usually take or use with the verb permitted, an infinitive form is necessary. So we say, visitors are not permitted to take photographs. And then we do next. And now, in this sentence, we can say that there is an if form That is a conditional. Here we have had arrived if, and this part has a past perfect. That means the first part has to have a modal plus have plus past participle. So we can say that the factory could have finished the production by this week if the shipment had arrived earlier. Then here, promotions will. Will is a modal verb. That means I need a verb in its simple form. And the simple form of the verb to be is be, because it is not conjugated. Then we do next. And in this exercise, we have a conditional form. It says, if the manager understood, so we can say if plus past simple. I hope you remember the rule. After the comma, we need a modal. Only a modal verb. And the modal verb is option C. Would help. The other options have different modals.